Okay, so I just want to make a video about my sister because I'm thinking about just things that I've noticed. So she was with someone for 13 years, and um, I felt like he kind of stole her from our family. Like she used to always follow me and do everything. Like she used to be exactly like me when I was younger, and then when I went off to boarding school when I was 15, um, and she would have been 11. Our relationship kind of fell apart almost just because I wasn't around, and she wanted someone to copy and be with and just follow after. And it when I went to boarding school, I wasn't around, and I think she felt like I had abandoned her. When really I was seeing her every weekend and stuff, but she just wasn't an independent person. And so, I don't, I don't want to. I'm saying what I think she is, not what I'm making her. At least I'm really hoping that. But I am getting confused as to. But anyway, there's just something really bizarre. This is just how I've experienced. This is things that have already happened to me. Um, and yeah, she found him, went off with him, and I hardly ever saw her for 10 years. I think the first 6 months that they were dating when they were 16, she lived with him for 6 months, and then they lived in our house for about 6 months, and we only had a bunk bed, so they were sleeping on the bottom bunk and I was sleeping on the top bunk. So we were all, it was only a two-bedroom flat, so it was quite a squeeze. I would have been about 16, maybe, yeah, 16 and a half or something, and she would have been um, she's 4 years younger, so 12. She would have been. No, it can't be that. No, I must have been older. I must have been if she was. I'm sure she was 15, so I would have been 19. Yeah, I would have been 19. And actually, when I was 19, what was I doing when I was 19? I think I actually was in uni, so I think I wasn't even around all the time. But I was. I'm sure there was a few weeks. Maybe it was a summer holiday or something. I'm sure there was a few weeks where we were all living in the same house together. But anyway, um, I yeah, so I went to but yeah, anyway, she's the divorce has fallen apart. She had a baby. I call it, it's kind of like a COVID baby because it was born the day that COVID became a national pandemic. And yeah, it's just separated my sister and her husband massively. And I saw it in the first week because I was so desperate. But she said she didn't even want me there at the hospital because it would be too stressful. Me and my mum would be too stressful. And I just, things like that. It's like you're having a baby and you don't want your mum and sister around because it's too stressful. I mean, what's going on? I mean, I always thought like he was influencing her and everything, but at the same time, they are very similar people. Over the 13 years that they were together, they became more and more and more similar. More, you know, I could see them working because they were so similar. And I don't like George. I think he's quite selfish and arrogant, and when he thinks about himself. And I don't like Sophie. I think she's exactly the same way. But when they were together, it was nice because they can't be selfish if you care about your partner. That was the one thing that made them not selfish. That was the one thing nice about them. The fact that they had this really strong bond. And then the child came up, and George wanted to do everything his way, and Sophie, for the first time, actually started having a preference. Like when it comes to herself, she didn't have any preference. Like, oh yeah, I'll do whatever you want. Do you want to go somewhere, or do you want to go to a comedy club? Yeah, yeah, we can go there. Like she would find up all the free stuff, and find out loads of free concerts and stuff, and get free tickets for things. Mostly comedy stuff, like not music. She wasn't. She was never into music. Me and her are like opposites in so many ways. But yeah, so I love comedy, but I don't think I've really been to many, which is annoying because I really want to go to some. But yeah, I would choose music over comedy. But I do love comedy, and I don't know why I've never gone to a comedy. No, actually, I'm sure I've been to one comedy, the comedian thing. There was this one that I went to. Anyway, yeah. So, but anyway, she's looking for a new partner now because their relationship fell apart. And I'm not a big fan on foreign accents because I can't hear or understand or correctly work out what they're saying. And when someone speaks with a heavy foreign accent, or you sometimes don't understand things. And I'm dyslexic. It really bothers, my faults really bother me. When I say things incorrectly or use the correct term, like talk about something like he did, or when I mean didn't, or I'm always using past terms as future terms, and I'm getting words wrong, or saying words that are completely different, like saying X shop, and instead of saying X shop, I'll say X rental, which are actually completely different things. But it bothers me when I make mistakes. And so when I hear other people who are also making mistakes in their dialogue, it does bother me, just because I don't like making mistakes and I know that I do it. So I see a fault inside me, and I don't like it. And this is one of the reasons why I would love for the whole world, except for China, to speak English. That would be on the top of my list of things that I'd want to change. I'm sorry if you love the other languages, but how can you create a one world society when everyone's speaking different languages, and there's this massive miscommunication? I feel like there's a massive miscommunication between Earth and God. And like two hamster cages. So you can't have two hamsters living together. But I think you can. I don't know. Some people say you can get two hamsters living together. So when Lily comes, basically, I can see the Chinese writing still existing. Like the visions that I've had of Lily, which is my future self, I can see that China is still here. And it's nice to go to a country where people do speak a different language. And Chinese is a very complicated language. It's one of the hardest, with the most very, I don't know what's I've been told good things about it. I mean, negative if you're dyslexic, but yeah, I just got a feeling that if I can just create one language, which is English, and then just have have China as Chinese as a set up another language in a different area, that would be what I'd do. So yeah, when I first met this guy, he was completely wrong for Sophie, because Sophie's okay, young, dumb, and pretty, and he's not so pretty, but older and far more intelligent. And the accent, but the accent kind of bothers me a little bit. But anyone can learn English. It's easy. I think he's a nice person. I think he's a hardworking person. I think he's trying to do the right thing, and he's an honest person. But all those things are not what I would say about Sophie. I would say the exact opposite about Sophie. And so I didn't quite see how the relationship how it works, because they're completely different people. And then I went to London last week, and my sister was there, and she was talking on the phone to him throughout a lot of the time. Like there was, I was falling. We were sharing a bed together, because it's one room, and the bunk bed's gone. There's a big bed now, so we shared a bed, and she was on the phone to this guy. A video call, and I don't know how long they were talking for. I heard about 20 minutes of the conversation, and what I noticed is that she was saying nothing. He was talking and talking. It was very smooth. It was very calm, and he did speak English. I understood most of it, and it was it was nice, and it felt good. But what I noticed is that Sophie wasn't saying anything. Like literally, I don't think she said even two words. It's like, yeah, yeah, like she just all the time, and it's just like, how can you have a relationship with someone when they don't speak, when they don't say one word to you? How can this guy say that he knows Sophie when Sophie doesn't say anything? And I think this is what happens with a lot of relationships. They form for someone that they don't actually know, and then when they get to know that person, suddenly they start seeing all these bad sides and negative sides. And I think this is one of the reasons why I couldn't know Martin Dodd too well, and I had to fall in love with him after only meeting him 3 times, because I think if I had have met him a lot more times, I would have seen the negative sides. I would have seen maybe his greed, or whatever sides he has to him. I mean, there was things that I did see. There was some girl that he was dating, and he was really, who was going to be successful, and then wasn't going to be successful, and he was really happy that she was failing now, and just like things like that. I was like, that's really bad, but why do I still like him? But I think if I would have known him more, I would have actually probably not liked him very much. Maybe I don't know. I don't know him, but this is how relationships often fall apart, because you fall in love, or you fall for someone, and you don't know them, and then you do get to know them, and you realize actually you're nothing similar. And I think this is what's happening with my sister and this guy. He seems like a nice guy, but Sophie's not a nice person. On Christmas the other year, she bought me a whole bunch of presents. We had this tradition, not any longer, of buying huge amounts of presents, and nothing she gave me was anything that I would have wanted. Maybe one, I don't know. Like literally, it was like a book and a toothpaste holder that doesn't fit my toothbrushing because it was an electric toothbrush, and there was a lick me lollipop which looked disgusting, had a big mouth and lips on it, which was gross, and a horrible Mickey Mouse witch mask that wasn't sexy, wasn't attractive, nothing. A broken hamster cage, a light that a backlight that needed to be fitted in, but I've already got two lights at the back and one light at the front. Literally everything she gave was just rubbish. Except for, I think the lip balm was okay, but I think it broke. There was a little tiny lip balm, but yeah, this is the kind of person she is. She doesn't get to know people. She's a bit dumb. She's a bit feathery or something. I don't know, fluffy. And I don't know. She's not a nice person. When George was not being nice to people, she didn't recognize that. She didn't recognize that George is actually, not being a nice person. I think he was quite rude and sarcastic in a smug way, and she never recognized that. And I feel like she has picked up loads of bad traits from him, and now she's trying to get to know this new guy, and he's trying to get to know her. But I asked him, does Sophie ever talk to you? Does she ever say anything? And he responded, sometimes. And he also said some strange things, like to Sophie, are you related to the Queen? And she was like, maybe. But I know what she was thinking. In her head, she was thinking that, oh yeah, the Queen is, she's white and she's English and she's well spoken, and so am I. So yeah, maybe we are related. Maybe I'm related to royalty. Referring to the Queen of England and not me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she this is, if you can give, this is another one of her boyfriends said, that you give and you give and you give and you give to her, but she never gives you anything back. And that's one of the reasons why she's been struggling. She's had loads of boyfriends, just one after the other ever since she's left George. She's just gone one from the other, and I can't understand it. The guys that she's dating are all extremely different, so she clearly has no clue what she's actually looking for. And I think it's just about seeing what's out there, seeing what's going to give her something, seeing what she can get from it. It felt like those two guys that she was dating in this hospital, this old people's home, I meant, and it felt like she was only dating them because she thought she could, keep her job. She felt like she was constantly losing her job, so she felt like she had to have this relationship with these two guys to keep her job. And they were both helping to give a positive word to keep her job. But by sort of juggling two guys were getting angry, and they no longer could work on the same floor together. And then she started, I think, stealing food off the trolley and thinking that, oh, I deserve it because I'm doing a lot of the work, so why shouldn't I? And then she was encouraging everyone to eat off the trolley, and I think that was what caused her to. I think there was loads of problems actually that caused her to lose her job, but I'm not going to go into it. But she's not been acting. She's not a nice person. And she didn't help me when I went into the mental hospital. She didn't call me once when I went in for 10 days. When I was struggling with everything that I've gone through in the last 7 years, she just puts her finger in her ears, isn't interested, doesn't want to know me, doesn't want to care, doesn't want to try and care, doesn't want to try and understand. It's just, you're not God, you're human, you're not God. Gods aren't human. That is her only mentality. And I think there's so many people that are just like that. And it just makes me wonder, are there kind of two species on earth now? Ones that can connect with God and ones that can't. Ones that just are just dead inside or something. I don't know, but they just have no ability to understand. They understand the physical and the physical only. And then there's other people that can connect with a higher spirit, can connect with personality and comics. I love comedians, so I don't know why I've never gone to a show. That's I watch TV about it. I don't know why, but I want to. Maybe maybe so that I don't always get some of the jokes. Maybe I don't always get. I think that you can make quite a lot of jokes about religion, and I love jokes about religion. They're hugely funny, um, and although sometimes they don't always get it correctly, sometimes they do make a joke that's not quite funny. But yeah, I definitely don't want to hate comedians because comedians are out there to entertain people and to, they're there to try and lighten the spirit and everything. And so comedians are amazing. But maybe the reason why I haven't listened to them is because some of the jokes are hugely funny, some of them aren't. I suppose it depends on if they know God or not. And I don't want to hate comedians. I definitely don't want to hate comedians. If I'm hearing a comedian making jokes about God when I know everything that I've gone through, it would be awful. Actually, that's the reason why I've never seen a comedian. It would be awful to have to listen to a comedian who I really like as a person and I think are really funny, but they're making jokes about how you shouldn't like God when in reality I know that they don't like God, but they kind of don't realize that actually God is most tempted to help people like them because you know they're trying to bring happiness to people and stuff. So but anyway, yeah, that's but yeah, at the beginning when I first saw this couple, Sophie and him, I guess the accent made me feel like they weren't, well, the accent and the fact that they're very different made me feel like they weren't right for each other. But now that I've seen how their relationship is, which is just him talking and her just nodding and saying, yes, and funny, I see that the relationship, he's way better than her. He is way better than Sophie. I just wish you would speak, if you could just speak fluent English, and if the world could just speak fluent English, I think he'd be really really good. Yeah, but yeah, they're too different, and Sophie's not good enough for him. But does he know that? No, because he's just. I don't even know. I don't think he's the type of person that would go for someone just because of their looks. I feel like he's going for her. I don't know. I just really hope she doesn't get pregnant, to be honest.